Welcome to Grief Observed. I'm your host, Chaplain Kevin Weaver. Someone said, once again, death's mystery holds us in its arms, and we are memoried with 1,000 things you were and are. Today we have a very special guest who has created a very special way to remember her father, Miss Monica Montalvo, and joining her is Shasta Van Cleve. Monica, Shasta, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So tell us what you've done to remember your father.
I put on a team roping every year. It's called the Jack Penrod Memorial. It's what he lived for, was team roping. It's what he loved. So we have one once a year, and it's gotten bigger every year. We have a nicer facility, and we've changed it every year. This is the best one, so we'll continue to have it there.
What made you come up with this idea?
Right after his passing, my best friend was putting on ropings, and it was 2 weeks, and she came to us and said, I want to do a memorial for your dad. So she did it the first year, and I've done it every year since with a lot of help from a lot of people.
Well, you know, I think that's pretty cool, Monica. That's why I wanted you to come in and talk about it. This is the memorial flyer that was at your dad's, memorial. And on the back of it, if you can see this, it says heading home. And is this him on the horse?
That's his horse, Biscuit.
So your dad was quite a cowboy, quite a roper, quite an outdoorsman.
My dad was cowboy of cowboys.
Wow, what a perfect way to remember. See, that's what I want people to get that are watching this today. Remembering our loved one is such a responsibility that we have. And finding creative and unique ways to remember them, I think that is just the coolest thing that we can do. And when you told me about the event, I thought, man, we need to talk about this because it's just like really cool. I brought Shasta along today to kind of be your wingman because you told me you were a little bit nervous coming on, and I do appreciate you battling back the nerves. And you know what, Monica, let the tears fly. Let them roll, that's okay. And the event is facilitated or hosted at
the event is at Linden Valley Arena, which is off of Highway 260 at mile marker 335, right turn in at the Perkins Cinders gravel yard, just before the Linden Fire Department. And it's a wonderful facility. It's very family friendly. There's a playground for the kids.
Wow.
And you see everything for every age group, from tiny babies on up to our grandparents. And it's a very family-oriented sport. Team roping, rodeo, all of those things.
That's why he loved it. Everybody gets involved. Shasta's family, they all rope and barrel race and rodeo. My family, it's just instilled in us. It's a passion.
You know, and that's what to me is so intriguing about the creative way you've chosen to remember your dad, because bringing the whole family and even community into the event is a tremendous way to keep him alive. Because as I read in that opening quote, granted our loved ones have died and they've gone beyond us, but before us, but spiritually they're with us. And I think we need to capture that. And so I'm proud of you for doing that. So getting to the event, so what happens at the event? You say that I call it barrel roping. Is that what you guys do?
No. We rope steers.
Oh, you rope steers. The barrel would be a little bit easier.
Yeah. We give away prizes, and we just do everything we can to make it better for more people to come and remember him. His grandkids come, his kids come, his friends come. I mean, friends that he's had for so many years.
So you can keep this event going just as long as a family member will. I mean, even when you fade out of the picture, family members can keep this going.
His grandkids could take it over.
What a wonderful, wonderful thing to do.
And it's like a family reunion, not just for Monica and her family, but because of all the guys that roped with Jack over the years, my father and my husband and all the people that know him. So it's like more than a family reunion because it's such a huge group of people that know one another.
A community event that brings us to the place of remembrance. That's what it's all about. Taking our loved ones with us and remembering them. So your dad was on hospice care.
My dad was on hospice. He was a tough guy. He didn't want anybody to see him at the end. So I came home from Georgia and took care of him because hospice was there to help us, so he didn't have to go somewhere else. He could be in his home. We even took his recliner outside so he could be with his horse, and that was important to him, was being at home, and that allowed us to do that.
So you brought his recliner alongside his horse?
My sisters got him a new recliner, so he took his old recliner outside so he could be with Biscuit. He loved, that was the last horse he broke.
Why
and
not?
I have that horse now,
Why not?
so
Very cool. So hospice was beneficial to you?
hospice was beneficial. Let him have dignity. Let him be where he wanted to be. Let him be with the people he wanted to be with and the things that he wanted to be around.
Before we began this morning, Monica, you said something to me about your dad. I'd like you to share it with folks that are listening, because I think they too might gravitate to your situation, or they could relate with a relationship you had with your dad. You told me that really Jack wasn't your real dad.
Jack, I would never say he wasn't my real dad. I didn't have, my birth father died when I was little, and my mom remarried Jack when I was 5. We moved here when I was in 2nd grade, and he's never treated me like anything but the best. He was the best dad. I believe that he was sent to me to take care of me, to give me what I needed, and he gave me everything I ever needed, taught me so much.
So he wasn't your birth dad, but he was your real dad.
Wasn't my birth dad, but he was definitely my real dad.
That's powerful.
We would say, my niece would say, Aunt Monica, are you Grandpa's little boy? Because that's how he raised me. And he'd say, yeah. So I'd say to him, am I your baby or are you my baby? Because I took pretty good care of him and he took pretty good care of me.
So you came here to take care of your dad in his dying days.
I had moved away to Georgia, and he got sick real fast, and my family kept saying, he needs you here, he needs you here. We were gone for about a year and a half, and he started having major heart problems. I came home for his heart surgery. I flew back to Georgia, and I was home for exactly 1 month. And on Mother's Day, I had talked to him 3 times on the phone, and they called that night and said, he's had a stroke and he won't make it through the night. I came home and I took care of him, and every day it was like he got stronger, and he lived for 6 more weeks after that. Mm-hmm. We thought he was really getting better. My husband actually flew back home. We thought, he's gonna make it. It doesn't matter what anybody says, he's a fighter. And the first time I left him, my brother said, you've been here too long, you need to get out of this house and go get something to eat. And the first time I left him, I made it to the cameras by the pines, and my mom called and said, he's gone.
Wow. Monica, you're a very unique individual, though your story isn't really unique, because there are many people, when their loved ones are facing death, they rally. And that's the message that we want to bring across, that what a beautiful thing to do, rallying to the bedside of someone who's dying. And knowing that there is a community of care, whether it be hospice care or other individuals that can come to your side. Folks that are watching, we really want you to get this message that as a community, we need to really learn to reach out to one another and learn of these different events that are going on in the community. This one now is a year away. I think you do it every Memorial Day weekend or thereabout. But check the listings, stay in touch with what's going on, and get involved. I remember Monica told me I was Jack's chaplain. I went over to his house for a visit, and I left a pen there. A simple little pen that we give away. And why I'm bringing this up is because Monica has come up with some unique ways to remember her father, and you still have that pen, don't you?
I still have that pen. It's purple. It's my favorite color, and it makes me remember him.
Yeah. Shasta, we just have a couple of minutes, so I would like you to chime in, because I know that as strong and as tough as people are, and when their loved ones are at the end of life, I think most people realize that they just can't do it all by themselves. And so how does hospice jump into that? What is the role that they
Well,
play?
as Monica mentioned, the family was there to care for Jack,
Yeah.
but needed some help.
That's it.
So that is where hospice comes in to provide help with the family and develop what we call a plan of care tailored to the needs of that patient. With Jack, it was important to him to be able to go outside and see his horse.
Yeah.
And so it's those types of things that we want to help facilitate and orchestrate for the family, where they can focus on being together and not having to worry about various things. We'll worry about those things. The family needs to be able to do what they need to do to spend time together.
So did you carry the chair out to the horse?
Well, of course.
Monica, I was just reading this in the flyer from the memorial. It speaks to a cowboy church. I know you're all around me. I see you every day. It's just that I don't go to church where other people pray. My church is the great outdoors. My song is nature's sound. The sky is my cathedral and my altar is the ground. You must be fond of mavericks because you made them wild and free. So I know you've got a place up there for an old cowboy like me. You brought with you today Jack's diary, an old cowboy, some of the things that were dear to him that he wrote down. Would you be willing to maybe share some things with others?
Sure. When my dad passed, we found quite a few little books. We thought that they just had names and phone numbers in them, but he wrote down everything that happened every day, everybody that came into his life. We had a lot of horses, and he would need to make sure that they all got rode. So he would write which ones he rode that day, which ones he practiced on, how good he rode, every penny he spent. That was just my dad. I'm sure people thought he was just a rough old cowboy, but he really loved his friends and everybody that he met every time a grandkid came and visited him. So I'll just read a couple of things
Please.
from here. This is from January 5th of 03. He roped on an old horse named Mickey, which was my horse, and his friend Bud, who was an old cowboy also, rode his horse, whose name was Herc. I don't know why he lent his horse out that day, but he just was amazed, he said. And Bud roped good on Herc and said, put gas in the old Ford, $20. Roped on Biscuit. He was fresh. Just everything he wrote, he kept track of. Maybe we didn't think he cared about things, but he cared about everything. I'll find something else here to read.
Sounds like that old cowboy had an idea of that he needed to keep the details together. You know, sometimes we do have a sixth sense or that kind of innate knowledge that, you know, it's important to share. Because the point that comes here that I'd like to make and stress is that we will always remember our loved ones. But as time goes by, and I've said this in previous shows, memories do begin to fade. And the details become so incredibly important. And I knew that this would be an emotional time for you. You told me that it would be. But I want others to see this too, knowing that you've got to find ways to keep the details in check. This is where we really, really remember our loved ones, and it's in the little details that we pass down from generation to generation. Hence, we keep that family unit and that structure alive. So what else did he put there?
My dad was not a young man, but he was a busy man. He cut wood every day. He says, went to the sale every week to find new steers. Did a lot to keep us going. So I'll read that. he delivered a cord of wood. He cut a load of wood. And it snowed this day. And he unloaded 12 bales of horse hay.
Mm-hmm.
And he also got cow hay. This is a man who worked hard every day and lived life to the fullest.
And I can imagine, I'm going out on a limb and saying this, but I'll bet you I'm right, that when you read that, images of your father flashed into your mind and you could see him. Tell me what you saw.
I see him unloading hay for steers and at Burton, where we used to keep them, with his two old friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about how much he did for his friends and for his family. This isn't a cheap lifestyle.
Yeah.
And he did a lot to keep all of us going, to have a place to rope and to gather. And I mean, he's not here now for me to tell him. I appreciate everything you did for me to make me a better person with a hard work ethic and a better roper. I wish he was here now to yell at me so I could be as good as I used to be.
Well, you know, Monica, I got a hunch that he can hear you. Now, Shasta, your dad and Jack were friends, right?
Yes.
Any memories of them guys roping together or working together?
Many memories. I grew up knowing Jack Penrod and then was friends with Monica and her brothers. And I can remember many team ropings where my dad and Jack roped together. And I'm going to have to ask my dad how much money they won.
I have to say, Shasta's husband and my brother Nick were good friends. And Shasta's husband tells me, all the bad habits I got at your dad's place. Everything I've learned that was bad, I've learned all the habits I can't kick, which is probably team roping and chewing.
For sure.
Well, we take the good with the bad, right? It's all a part of who we are. But I like what I'm hearing together in this place about how this man's life brought together a segment of community. And in that community, well, they played together. They probably partied together a little bit. They certainly worked together real hard. And most importantly, they loved together. In the cowboy poem that you chose to describe your dad in this folder, it said that he wasn't a church man. Of course, you know, I'm a preacher and I think it's important to go to church. But it sounds like in many ways he created that righteous or that sacred environment for his family and his friends.
My dad would say, if you're outside, then God is all around you.
Yeah.
That's what he would tell me all the time.
And you can certainly draw close to God in those places. And that's important during your times of, well, your times of solace, your times of you may be feeling isolated or when you just really miss your dad. I think it is important to withdraw, at least momentarily, to those places where you can really get a hold of God or at least remember your dad and what was important to him. Anything else in that diary you want to share with us?
I don't know that I can read anymore.
Okay, that's okay if you can't. I understand.
It just makes me cry.
Yeah.
I just find peace, and when I miss him, I can pick up one of his little books and see what happened that day, whether it was just he's writing that it was windy and he couldn't do anything, or one of his grandkids came and visited him. That was just something he loved, and it was just a nice surprise, and he just loved life. And when I'm feeling down, I just pick up one of his books, and it makes me cry, but it makes me feel better.
So have you shared that with other family members?
Yeah, because there's something about everybody in here.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I have, and they say, make us a copy of those books, and I really need to do that for
Yeah,
all
you do.
of my brothers and
sacred.
sisters and
They're sacred.
the grandkids.
They are absolutely sacred because right now here's where he is, and it's so important to hold on to that. You know, I understand that life does go on, and we begin a new destiny or a new chapter, a new course, but we don't have to leave our loved ones behind. It's just like I'm a real book lover, and sometimes I buy books just to have them on the shelf. But at any rate, you know, there are chapters in every book that You may only read them once and then you close them and turn to the next chapter, but they're still there and they're still important and you still remember them. And you know, that's what you've done with your father. And I love the unique way that you've chosen to remember him, this event that draws people from even different walks of life. You know, I'm so inclined maybe to come out, and I don't know if I would ever get on a horse. I understand that can be kind of dangerous, but it sounds like an event that people can go and just have a nice time, young and old alike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it as long as I can.
Well, and then when you can't do it anymore, someone will take it from you, and
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it, that these kind of things can be shared and handed off. So tell me, have you started a diary of your life for your loved ones?
I bought a little silver book that I thought I'd start writing in, and I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, well, don't put it off. And for those of you who are watching, don't put these things off. It's so important. It's incredibly important. And that's why Monica's here today, to remind us of the importance of doing this. You began this event back in, well, your dad died in 2009.
And the first event was held 2 weeks after his passing.
2 weeks after.
And this will be the 5th year that I have done it. And it will be the 6th annual.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Other than the memory that it invokes, what else does it bring to you? Has it been a part of your healing?
I would say every time I get on a horse, it's a part of my healing. It's been hard to drive with the horse trailer behind me without him beside me telling me every move to make. So every time I rope, it's a part of my healing.
But you and I would imagine, and again I go out on a limb, but I would just imagine that every time that you hook up that horse trailer or you get on the horse, a part of you becomes much more alive, much more in touch with the Monica that you wouldn't be.
Oh yeah.
If it weren't really for this happening in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we none of us would ask for our family members to die and to leave us. We all know that they're going to. And if we're careful, and if we really look, whether it be to God, to nature, or to what our loved ones left behind, we can see growth in our lives, and we can see the changes that take place. Well, there's a scripture that says that unless a seed fall to the ground and die, it can't bring forth life. So your father's death, in essence, has brought forth a different part of your life. It's brought it to fruition, if you would, or brought it to the forefront.
Yeah. I've changed. I've grown up. I'm just a different person. I remember him every day.
Yeah.
He's always on my mind. He was my best friend.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and Monica, I'm here to tell you today that's healthy. And if we were behind closed doors in a counseling session, I would tell you that what you're doing is very healthy. You're very normal. As a matter of fact, you're probably ahead of the pack as far as most are concerned. Because many people, they don't create these little events. And so oftentimes they stall in their grief. And you're allowing your grief to come forward. And each time you have this event, or you open up that diary, you maybe break a little bit more inside, but that brokenness or that type of Monica death allows life to come through. And that's what's bringing about that change or that growth in you.
Yeah, I feel like my dad was old and it was time for him to go, but I was young and I wasn't ready to lose him.
Of course.
So it's hard. Do you pray that they go peacefully and don't suffer, or do you pray for them to stay with you? It's hard.
It is hard.
And you have to live with that. You have to go on, and you have to not want them to suffer.
Amen. Monica, our time is up, and it's been wonderful having you. And thank you for Shasta for being Monica's wingman today and chiming in and giving her the comfort that she needs to do what I knew was going to be difficult for her, but I'm so glad you did, because this was a priceless, sacred moment we've had. And for those of you watching, I trust that you've gained something from this, and create an event. It doesn't have to be as elaborate as a roping rodeo session, but just something small to remember your loved one. This has been A Grief Observed. I'm your host, Chaplain Kevin Weaver. I thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next month.